Okay, there we go. All right. All right. Well, I believe yesterday you all should have covered opportunities. So unless we have any questions on that, I'm going to jump right into going straight to
Yeah,
DocuSign.
just give them a
So
quick rundown and remind them where to start their initial connection from within the
yeah,
opportunity.
absolutely. Yeah. So we can all see the screen here. I'm loaded up. I'm going to just go to the opportunities main page so we can see all the different options here. Uh, Fair warning, I am not a licensed agent. I'm the tech trainer. So all the opportunities you're going to see in my list are all fake made up opportunities. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. I like using this one because, well, it's the old address that I used to live in. Yeah, there you go, Morgantown. Um, so the first thing we're going to want to do before we go and try to launch in a DocuSign is we're going to want to make sure that all the information that we've entered in the details tab and the opportunities is correct. Um, and then we're also going to want to make sure we see, well, actually, I guess that will come later. So let's double check the opportunity details. And once we verify that this is all correct and all the information that we want is in there, we're going to hop on over here to this Documents tab here. And this Documents tab is where we're actually going to be able to select, um, for example, like which checklist. Some of your market centers may have checklists set up in terms of which documents you need. Up here in McLean, we have NVAR as well as GCAR for DC and GCAR for Maryland. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick an NVAR listing. And this is going to show us all the required documents that we need, and we can attach them from either DocuSign or from our computer. So to attach a file from DocuSign, we're going to need a DocuSign room setup, which up here, typically, when you have a new opportunity, this box right here will say create transaction. Since I've already created the transaction within DocuSign, it now says go to transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button, and it's going to launch us over here in a DocuSign. And we'll have to sign in. And you can see here, before we get started, you'll see up in the top left corner, it says DocuSign Rooms. If you've used DocuSign in the past, you're more familiar probably with the DocuSign e-signature side. DocuSign Rooms kind of takes the functionality of e-signature and expands it more so for our needs, for our real estate needs. So as you can see here, this is already a opportunity that I've started working in. So I already have documents added in here, and I'll go over what all these different little icons mean in a couple of minutes. First though, I want to come over here to this details tab. So we already added the opportunity details in Command. In order to get them to sync up with DocuSign, we're going to want to make sure that back over here in Command, we're clicking this Sync Transaction button. And what Sync Transaction does is take all of the information that was loaded into Command and sync it with the DocuSign opportunity. So while I don't have a ton of information loaded in here, it should all have been just ported over here back into DocuSign. Because this was an already created account, DocuSign already had this information, but I wanted to make sure you all knew that is the process to go through. All right, so now I'm going to hop on over here to the Documents tab because the opportunity's already been added. We have the details. Now we need to go ahead and start adding documents into our room so we can start sending them out to our clients and potential clients to get them to sign. The first thing we're going to want to do is look at these two blue buttons up here. We're going to want to focus here on this Add button. Click on that, and we've got a couple of options here. If you do have the documents downloaded, yes, and if you update the opportunity details in the middle of the transaction, you can go ahead and sync it then as well. So you may need to sync your transaction a couple of times throughout the whole process. If you update listing information, dates, anything like that, you'll want to just go ahead and click that sync button. Going back over here just to show you kind of when you have information that needs to be synced, it'll be this yellow tag that says edited. And when it is up to date with the Docusign version, it'll be blue and it'll say synced. So that's what you want to look for. If you come into an opportunity and you see all these yellow buttons, you want to go ahead and click sync. All right. So as for going back into adding documents, well, I'll let David answer that question in chat, because I'm not sure. Anyway, so I'm going to go on add documents. So we're going to click this blue button here. If you do have the forms downloaded on your computer and you want to upload them into the room, you can use that option here with computer. But personally, I think everybody should be using this Docusign Forms option. I do not recommend downloading the forms on your computer because forms change about twice a year, typically in January, typically in July. So you want to make sure you're using this Docusign Forms option, because when those forms do update, they'll automatically update in the Forms section. So you see over here on the left-hand side, we have packets and we have libraries. So libraries are going to come directly from the Realtor Association. You can see here we have a couple of Realtor Associations associated with our office. NVAR is the big one. This is what our agents typically use. So as you can see over here in the packet section, our market center set up folders directly kind of directed at certain types of transactions. So that makes it a little easier on our agents if they're doing a Virginia listing. They know they can come into the listing tab and just grab any of these documents that they may need. You can see over here on the right side, because this is an already open room, I have a lot of documents already in use. Once you have a document in use, you cannot add it to the room from this section because it's technically already been added to the room. So that's something to note. I have had a couple of agents reach out to me worried because they can't add a document to their room, even though they see it here and they didn't realize, oh, they already added it in a couple of weeks ago and they kind of forgot about it. So just make sure to double check that the document is already in your room if you're trying to add it in. So I have one last form here in the listing section that I haven't added. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this box here and click add selected. And that's all we really need to do to add it into the that's all we really need to do to add the document in the room. But that's just the first step. So now when we have the document added into the room, we're actually going to want to create an envelope, which is going to start that signature process. So typically in Virginia, we need to send out the exclusive right to sell first and foremost. So I'm going to go ahead and select this little checkbox up in the top left corner to actually select the document. If you click in the middle of the document, it's going to load a preview version of the document for you to go through and read. At this stage, it's taken a minute. It's taken a minute to load. But at this stage, we can actually go in and modify any of the information that we know is going to remain consistent throughout the transaction. So for example, if this is a listing transaction, we know this property is always going to stay the same. While this is pulled in from command, I actually didn't enter this in. This detail was added in command, synced with Docusign, and then automatically added to the form.
Hey,
because
Evan.
Docusign, yes, sir.
I just wanted to jump in real quick just to make sure I clarify the question that asked about pulling MLS data, because it kind of applies to this too, right? So,
oh yeah,
there is no Docusign integration to command per se. However, inside of command, if you're representing the buyer and you sync it to the listing, because we pull the listing from the MLS, you'll get the cooperative agent, the property address, and that will sync to the room itself, right? So that'll show up on the details page. What it doesn't pull or what doesn't connect to yet are tax records, right? So if you are the listing agent, there's nothing to pull in the command yet. So you're manually entering those details. So the answer, as I was trying to say in the chat, is it's a modified yes. As far as what information pulls from the MLS, but the connection is actually in Command, not in DocuSign, right? And for a lot of us that were using zip forms before, like I like the zip forms process for the way that auto-filled some of that hot sheet. We found that we didn't need the expense because of what we had available to us, so we kind of did away from that.
Okay.
Awesome. So again, this is kind of just a preview section. This is the opportunity for us to go in and add the information. Like David said, if the listing information isn't being pulled in automatically, you can either add it to this document, but honestly, what I would recommend doing is just adding it directly into the details tab if there's a field available. Because again, anything that's in the details tab here is going to basically be ported over to documents when you're preparing them. So again, property information, listing date, these types of things, while they're not filled out in my details tab, if they were, you would see them automatically populate into some of these forms. So once we select a document to be signed, I'm just going to select this one up here. We're going to select the option in the top left corner, and you can select multiple documents. If you need to send like a whole packet of documents, you can select a couple. So I'm going to select these 3 here. And then you see, as soon as I selected that box, we had these options pop up right up here. So there's a couple options up here. The first is copy. If we needed to make a copy of a document, we'll create a copy that will live within the room. The second one is to move. So if we needed to move it either in our current room or to a different room, we have that opportunity to do that here. There's also the option to email out these forms or print out the forms. If you're going somewhere where you know you're not going to have an internet connection, but you need them to physically sign, you can print the forms out and have them sign, and I'll show you how to re-upload those later. Additionally, if you wanted to combine all your forms into one document, you can do that with this button here. Personally, I can't think of a use case, but David may chime in with an option, with a reason that you may need to use that. But this option right here, somewhat close to the middle, the create envelope button, this is the one that we're actually interested in.
When you use combined documents, right, especially that comes into play more if they've been signed, right? Because different areas prefer breaking out your documents, and that's where the splitter comes into play. Other places, an agent may send you like a one-off page that was modified rather than the whole contract. You got to feather that back in. Or some market centers prefer everything to be uploaded in one bundle, and things are coming apart in here the way that they were created and signed. Just an example.
There we go. Yep. So yeah, our market center likes it when all the documents are separate. It helps our compliance team, but like David said, all market centers kind of operate a little differently. So just check with your MCA and how they like the documents and everything pulled into the system.
You'll know that by looking at your requirement checklist inside of Command itself will let you know, right? So if it's a single upload versus broken apart, you'll know right away what that is.
Which will be this checklist right here, in case you're curious. There should be the different options for your different regions. All right, so then the other 4 options here, create envelope. I'll come back to this one because this is kind of going to be the next step. Download documents. Again, this is a situation if you're going somewhere where you're not going to have connection and you're having a face-to-face meeting with somebody to sign documents. I know that's kind of the opposite of what Docusign is, but I do have people who use this a lot, or they want to just send it to somebody so they can read it. That's another option as well, to download and just send them that copy. Then there's the archive and the delete button. So archiving and deleting kind of work similarly. Archiving them will put them away. You can always go back and retrieve them later. Deleting them deletes them permanently, and they will be gone from the library. You'll have to re-add them and re-add details to them. All right, so we have our documents selected that we need our client to go ahead and sign. So we've selected them. Now we're going to go ahead and select this create envelope button. And when we do that, we're going to get this little pop-up window. It's asking us about recipients. So this is another cool feature of the Docusign room side. In this situation, let's say we have a seller one, a buyer one, and let's just say we have 2 buyers and 1 seller. So we're going to go ahead and select seller 1, buyer 1, and buyer 2. And we can leave the rest of these blank because they're not people that we'll have to sign. We go ahead and hit this continue button. And this is going to actually create the envelope now. It takes just a minute. And does anybody have any questions while we're waiting for this to load? I know I kind of talk a little fast, so if I glossed over something, Miguel, I think I hear you. I think I see you talking, but I don't hear you.
Yeah. What about the agents, the listing agent and the buyer agent? We have to sign the documents too, right? Is any spot right there where it's buyer 1, buyer 2, seller to add a a listing agent and buyer agent?
Yeah. So if I had a document of these 3 documents, there's no field in there for a agent to sign. So that's why you didn't see that option on the list of recipients. If I selected a document that required one of the agents to sign, there would be a pop-up. When in that pop-up box, there would be an option for you to select either listing or buyer's agent.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Evan.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yes,
there's a
sir.
question in chat asking about addendums. Different boards provide different documents. An addendum is typically one that gets used multiple times during, I've actually had contracts where I've had to use like 7 or 8 different addendums to modify a contract. Depending on the board, some boards provide addendum 1 through 3, 4, 5, or whatever. Some boards only provide one addendum document, and it's meant to be used over and over again. The way that is handled inside a Docusign, and I get the confusion, you're not going to go and add, right? If you're like NAR or Dulles, we only have one addendum, okay? You're not going to go and add that addendum to the room every single time. Once you've added the addendum, okay, it's a form. And that's what that blue, it's stamped blue, means form, right? It's fillable. You use that form over and over and over again, right? So in our minds, we think we're deleting a document that we're utilizing and we're removing data that we did. Once that addendum has been shared and signed, you now have a green checkbox signed PDF version of that addendum 1 per se, okay? If you have to write another addendum, you're going to use that same blue form version of the addendum, wipe out whatever it said, and create a new addendum using that same form, send it, get it signed, and you'll have 2 signed versions, but you would have utilized the same form to begin with, right? The same thing also applies writing a contract, right? If I wrote a contract for Evan and it didn't get accepted, right? I still have to use the same contract form, the blue form. I would overwrite that with new data for the new property that we're writing. And essentially what I do is I would move that original offer that I wrote for Evan, I would create a new file inside the room and keep that. So change your mindset of how other platforms we've used where we're uploading new documents all the time. You're right. You can rename the addendum. You can put them to different files, but you have to let go the thought process that I have to upload a new version every single time. You're just using the same form and deleting some of the deets.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't get to the icons. I typically talk about that a little later, but yeah, these are what the icons mean real quick. So the blue means it's a fillable form. You can go back and edit it. And so, for example, if you have one kind of blanket addendum and you're going to need to use it for multiple things, that would be a good use of the copy button. So you can create a copy right up here of an addendum. Or maybe we cannot create copies, David? Or is it specific forms we can create copies for? Or maybe just no documents at all. Okay.
You didn't have one checked, I don't think.
Right there. Okay, that checkbox and copy. No. All right. So I'll look into that.
We don't
I'll,
copy forms. You can move forms because you can't copy them because you can't use them over again. You can copy an executed document that's signed, but you don't copy a form because you only get to use the form one time.
okay, so I guess if you have that situation of some of the details change, you need to recreate one of these forms. You'll just go
Well, you
back
change
into the
what you
form.
would do is you change the details on the details page, right? Because the forms are always going to autofill based off the information it already has. Right. And then on the other side, what we're not going to cover in today's class is that there are also templates that you can create for yourself. No, Evan, I don't know if you were planning on that. Typically, you don't go into templates here because we run out of time.
I wasn't
But
gonna.
you do
Yeah, I
have the
wasn't going to.
ability, and that's more of an advanced feature, but you do have the ability to create templates of the way that, hey, this is why I typically create a standardized form with all this information. But the form itself, you would go back to the details page and update that or sync that from command with the new data. That will fill the new version.
Right. All right. So I just wanted to kind of add my name in there real quick because this is going to show you the next step. So again, this is an example Docusign room. If you have within the opportunity, if you have the contacts and everything listed, all of that information is automatically going to pull in. So again, we want to make sure that the opportunity details tab and the Docusign details tab are as information full as possible because it's going to make creating those forms a lot easier. All right, so I'm going to hop back over and actually create an envelope to sign. Oops, documents. Okay, so we're in the documents tab. We select our documents to be signed. I'm going to select some different ones here. Maybe we get some different role options to show you. All right, so I've selected these three. I've got the buyer's acknowledgement of of first consequences, exclusive right to list, and the home inspection and radon testing forms. So we have these three selected. We're going to go ahead, select this pen icon, which is create envelope. And see now, Miguel, we have a lot of other options for recipients because the form requests them. So I'm going to go ahead again, select seller one, buyer one. We're going to pretend we have two buyers, and then we're going to go ahead and select the listing broker as well. So hit continue, and it's going to take us into the next step, which is actually to add the recipient's contact information. So again, this is going back. If you have those contacts already associated with this opportunity in command, it's already going to know who your seller one is and who your seller two is and who your listing broker is and all these other contact informations. Because mine is an example one, it doesn't have all that contact information. But as you saw in the details tab, I entered my name as seller one, and it auto populates right here as seller one. So now I'm going to go ahead, put my email in. I'm going to put myself in for all of these just so I can show you, get through the process. Buyer two, and then listing broker. And then if we're on this spot, and let's say, for example, you have somebody else who's involved with the transaction, but they don't need to sign. If you want to add an additional recipient who just receives a copy of the paperwork or can just view the paperwork, that's also an option here in the very beginnings of the envelope stage. Another thing to note, if you start making the envelope and you realize, oh, I forgot to add this document to the envelope, you can come back up here, upload, and add room docs, and this is going to show you all of the documents that you already have loaded into this room. So let's go ahead and throw another one on here.
You guys, when you think about this, when you think about the process and the order flow of transactions, typically what happens, especially after things get ratified, right? You guys send something to the escrow company, the title company, the lender. You could drop them in at the end that, hey, after everything's been signed, ratified, boom, it automatically goes over there. Makes your life really, really easy. The other thing when it comes to sequential order, and I get this question a lot, what happens when I send it to a buyer or a seller and they use the same email address? Okay. So while I do not recommend, and even in our old platform, you could not do this, or you can't do this in this system. You can send something to Evan and Evan2 at the same email address, but you have to separate the process flow, right? It would have to be Evan1 and then Evan2. If they have separate unique email addresses, they could actually both be signer one at the same time. So that is the difference. Now, I do recommend they use different email addresses, even because it's from an authentication piece. Right? You don't want somebody signing on behalf of if you don't think this happens, do some reading, right? Don't want somebody signing on behalf of somebody else because the wife all of a sudden didn't think that the cabin in the woods for the husband was worth having anymore. Just saying. And I'm not putting it on my West Virginia folk. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, I find this recipients tab really useful. Again, I'm not an agent, so I typically use Docusign in a different way, particularly right now for onboarding. So my recipient list typically looks like all the people who have to sign the onboarding documents. And then I'm able to send a copy of that to my director of first impressions, so she can go and enter their contact and get them kind of squared away within our office. So there's a lot of different options that aren't just view or receives a copy. But I'm not going to get into all of those because it really gets into the more advanced features of Docusign, like allowing edits, specifying recipients. You're not going to need those typically. So again, we're going to want to more focus on the needs to sign, receives a copy, and needs to view. And I'm not going to change that because as you can see, this is a defined role, the listing broker. You see, I just tried to change what they do. In-person signer probably will work fine, but when I select needs to view, I'm removing the option for the listing broker to sign. So it's actually going to warn you, hey, you know this person has to sign these documents. So it's gonna try to check a little bit for you to make sure you're not messing anything up. The very last section here before we create the envelope is to create what the email is going to look like when these are sent out. So if you want to change the email subject, typically I say, hey, to the whatever the client's names are, here are the documents for you to sign or something, you know, casual that kind of reminds them, hey, you know, we talked about this, here's the documents. You can go ahead and enter a nice little message up to 10,000 characters. If you want to do custom emails for each recipient, you can do that as well. It probably looks really confusing because I just used my name 7 times, but these all equate to different recipients up here. So let's change seller 1 to. So now you see I changed that name up there and this is changed down here. So now we can say, hey, Aiden and hey, Evan.
Now I'm going to recommend also, if you during a contract, if you don't change the subject, you're going to have all the subjects say the same thing, and you're not going to be able to go back and find what you sent out in an easy fashion. So for the sake of time, take the extra millisecond and rename each of those subjects when you're sending things out for signatures, or your life's going to get difficult. You're going to call your market center technical and be like, I can't find these things saying the same thing. Like, correct.
Yep. Yeah, so you can go through email subjects, help me out a lot. I am crazy about email filtering. So everything's kind of filtered through, and you can set up a filter within Gmail to filter out your DocuSign emails to all go into like one folder. That's another way to kind of help you keep everything together. But now that we have our documents added to the envelope, our recipients added to the envelope, along with their contact information, and we have all of our messages set up, we can now move along and move into the next step, which is to actually then go ahead, make sure all of these fields have the correct information ahead of them. And this is one of my favorite parts of DocuSign is the fact that they already put the signature fields. I'm trying to scroll down to one of where the signature fields are going to be. But they do already put the, here we go, the last page, the signature fields right here into DocuSign. So really, ideally, you're not going to have to do much legwork to get these documents ready. They're ready for you. They're here. What you have to do is make sure you have the correct recipients and the participants. Make sure their contact information is correct, and make sure the opportunity details information is correct. You're not going to have to get into the weeds about adding this field and adding that field. If you do need to, there are still there's still an opportunity to go in and add fields. We can either add generic pre-filled tools that no signer is going to have the opportunity to change. So this can be, if typically you would want to change these additional terms in the form section, but if you're doing it just for this specific envelope, you can use these pre-fills to change it for this document in particular. And then if you, for example, have something that you need one of the signers to fill out, some information that you need that's not a signature, what you would do is go and select the specific recipient. So let's say this is buyer 2. Let's say we need buyer 2's, I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. Let's just say we need their middle name. So we would put a text form that is specific to buyer 2 here. We would make sure that it's required. And then when they're coming through and they're filling out the document, before they sign, they're going to have to fill out this field. So that's another useful way. If you have some information that you need either the buyer, the seller, or the broker to go ahead and add into the document before they sign, that's your opportunity to do that here. When I have this drop-down list, each of these colors equate to the different roles that we set on the page before. That's also what all these signature lines represent. So this is, again, the opportunity to make sure all of the last chance to validate that all of the information is correct. All of the recipients are correct. Again, the signatures are pre-filled from Docusign side, so you shouldn't have to worry about going in and adding signature fields because they should already be loaded in here. So that's what the left-hand pane is for your different fields. The right-hand panel over here is where you're going to see those documents. So if you only have one document loaded into your room, you're just going to see all the pages over here. But we have 4 documents loaded into our envelope. So we're going to see 4 documents here. And this is going to be our opportunity to go through each of them and make sure that all the information is corrected. So you're not actually going to be able to scroll in between documents. You're going to actually have to come over here to the right side and select your new document before you go in. Oh,
Actually, hey, Evan, if you scroll to the top,
yeah.
there's a great feature that I highly recommend. So this is kind of where I'm not a broker, but I'll put my broker hat on a lot of times, right? So as listing agents, buyer's agents, representation of our consumers, here's what I know to be true. Everybody's looking for expediency and being lazy and are always in a rush. Your job, right, if you're not face-to-face with consumers, which I recommend first and foremost, is to walk them through the contracts that they are signing. Don't just send it to them to sign. So if they're in a different area, you're in Morgantown and you're selling something in Charleston, you can't be side by side, get on a Zoom with them and talk them through the document. That's your job. Okay, if they just sign and something goes wrong, they're going to blame you. Okay, what you can also do, if you hit that preview button in the upper right-hand side, right, what I love is that the ability to see what this document looks like through the eyes and the experience of the person I'm sending it to, right? So this is an email version, like when they were opening up, this is what they would see. So you can actually scroll through this document and you would see all the documents here, right? And go through everything. And if you actually hit that sign, this is their experience, right? You're not signing, but the consumer is literally going to hit sign next, 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 and be done with it. Okay. So that's my broker hat disclosure. Do your job, talk them through the contract. I don't care if it's the first time you've talked them through a contract or the 10th time you've written a contract for them. Talk through the contract.
Yes, your brokers will appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a great point. Something I didn't even think about, but yeah, absolutely. Jump on a Zoom call with them. These are contracts that they are signing. These are legally binding contracts. They should know what they're signing on to. Even if you've discussed them before, just be there with them in a Zoom call or a Google Meet call, in case they have any questions in the moment. They may go through and they may read a specific clause and they have a question about it. So just make sure that you're there, there to answer any question that they may have. So I'm gonna hop back over here. So yeah, so this again, as Dave was mentioning, this is the preview tab. So if you want to see how they're going to be able to view these documents either through the desktop, through a tablet, or through their phone, that's going to give you the opportunity to see that here. But I'm going to exit back out of here. Again, once we have all of our pre-filled information correct, we make sure that all the signature fields are correct. The recipients are done. We have our custom messages set up. At this point, we're good to go. We've validated all the information, the signature fields, everything is ready to go. So now we can go ahead and either hit the send button to send it immediately, or if you're a person like myself who's a night owl and does a lot of work after normal business hours. Now I know normal business hours for real estate agents doesn't really exist, but maybe you don't want to show your clients that you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, just randomly doing Docusign stuff. So you can use this send later option, and you can actually, one of the previous, oh, I know why that happened. Well, you can use that send later option and actually specify a time and a date for these documents to be sent. So again, if you are waiting for something to come through before you want to send a document, you're waiting for, I don't know, financing to come through or something, you can actually set a date for these documents to be sent out. And if things fall through, you can always stop it from being sent out. So I'm going to go ahead and send this envelope. Wait for it. Send it in just a second. Hold on, let me take this clause out of here. It's pretty filled. Okay. All right. And if you were curious, the reason why it was giving me that error was because I put a pre-filled box in there, but then I didn't actually pre-fill anything in that box. So again, it was trying to remind me, you put this field in there to pre-fill, but you didn't pre-fill it. So just another kind of check to make sure everything's going to go smooth for you. So we see here, again, this is an opened room. So I have a couple of envelopes already in here. We have draft envelopes where I started putting documents together, but never actually got to the point of sending it out. So again, we can come back in here. If you're building something, but you don't have all the information, or you're waiting for something, you can always start putting them together, save them as a draft using this actions button. Again, this is that first page that I'm kind of jumping around. So again, I'll come back, answer any questions in a minute. You'll be able to save and close here, which will save it as a draft back in your envelopes, which you can always go back and edit any time. Let's say you send out contracts and then the listing price changes and you need to avoid those contracts because you need to send out new contracts with the new price. You can go ahead and select a you can select an envelope that has already been sent out, and then you can select this more option and void it, which will then you'll be able to send out a reason for the void. This will send an email to all of the recipients saying, hey, this envelope was voided, these documents were voided. And then typically in the email message that I'll send out, I will say, hey, this is the reason we voided was because the listing price changed. Please stand by. You can expect a new envelope within half an hour or so. So just kind of give them some heads up as to what's going on. If we've gotten to the point where we just sent this out, again, let's say it's 10 o'clock at night, we just sent it out, we're a little tired, and we realize really quickly, oh, geez, we put some information in there wrong. We can actually go back in here after we've sent it out and correct it before anybody has signed. If somebody has already signed, if anybody has already signed, you're gonna have to void the document and create a new envelope. All right. So this is very much at the very beginning before anybody's signed or gotten their eyes on it. You're gonna be able to come back in here and make any last minute post edits. All right. I'm gonna discard changes because I don't actually want to change this room or this envelope. And because I'm the first recipient, it's giving me the option in here to sign. Typically, you won't see that blue option unless it's your turn to sign the document in the envelope. Okay, so remember as we were looking through the preview tab, this is what it actually looks like when you're going through and signing. So you hit that continue button. And then in the eyes, I'm sure 95% of your clients are just going to see that yellow button, start, and they're going to click start, and they're going to hit sign, 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 sign. Oh, sorry. A little tired. So you hit the sign button and it brings you to the sign section. And then they actually have to click that sign box, and that will put their signature down on there. And once their two signatures are on there, there's no other option. The yellow button says finish. They click the finish. And now they're going to be given an opportunity to actually download those documents for themselves that they've signed. Once the envelope has been completed, they'll get an email that says, go ahead, download these documents with all the signatures in them. All right. Once we have all of the signatures in on an envelope, we're going to get this green box that says completed. And we can again go back in here. We can actually see what time and date they signed the documents. So we can either view that here within the envelope, and we can also view the completed documents if we'd like. But there is one other spot where you're going to be able to kind of see where everybody signed. So earlier, David mentioned that there are a couple of different icons here in the Documents tab. We have our form documents, which are the blue icons. We have our already signed documents, which are here, the green icons. But then we also have these PDFs in here. And if you look at them, they actually say certification. So what these are the actual certification that the documents were signed, specifically which documents, what the subject line was, who was the signature, what IP address were they using, when the message was sent, when they viewed it, when they signed it. So this is the extreme details tab of verifying signatures and all of that other, any of the other events that may occur within an envelope. All right. Now, I know I covered a lot. I do have a couple other things I want to show off, but do we have any questions right now for me? Anything that I might have kind of talked over pretty quick that you'd like some more information about? Anybody? All good? All right. All right. So, yeah, right. Normal business hours. Haha. See, it's weird for me because I'm part of the leadership staff and I'm not an agent. So for me, I really do work the 9 to 5 hours. And it's possible your tech trainer may as well. So that's why it's kind of good to know you do have that send later option. Maybe your broker isn't going to sign documents outside of his normal business hours. Again, I keep using that normal word, but it's not the right word to use. All right, so those are the basics of preparing your documents, getting them in an envelope, sending them out to get their signatures. There are a couple of advanced features. We have a little bit of time, so I do want to just show off a couple of things here that may come useful for you, may not, but they're cool features of Docusign, so you should know what they are. First and foremost, when we're in a Docusign room, I've talked extensively about the details, the documents, and the envelopes tab, but we also have this people tab. So this people tab is where we're going to be able to view anybody who can actually view or make changes into documents. So you see here from my people tab, I have all of the people within my market center listed in here. These are, oh, you're right, David. I did miss something. See, this is my, fair warning, this is my first time doing this, so that's why I have David here. He's gonna catch me. And thank you for catching me. So I'm gonna come back over here because I kind of missed an important step. So we have our documents signed. We have these green check boxes next to the documents that we needed signed. Well, now it's time to hop back over into Command to actually bring those documents back into the opportunity so that eventually you can go and send that off to your market center and get paid. So that's what we're all here for at the end of the day. So back in here in Command, we're on the Details tab. We're going to want to hop over here to Documents. And at this point, again, we should already have our checklist listed, so we should already know exactly which documents we need to pull in. We see here we have the requirements for the optional versus the required. And now you can see that there's this required option here, but this document doesn't have that Docusign icon, that DS icon next to it. DS, obviously, in this situation is standing for Docusign. If it has that little DS icon, that means that form lives in Docusign, and you can go and pull that in directly from your Docusign room. Now that we have these signatures down on our documents, we're able to start pulling them in. So up here in this attach files from section, we have two options. We either have Docusign or your computer. I'm not going to talk about the computer section because that's not, again, I push all of my agents to use Docusign. But if you do have downloaded documents, you get a physical signature on them and you have a scanned copy, just know that you can manually upload them here by dragging, dropping, or browsing your file. But browsing your file browser. But again, I'm talking about Docusign here. So we've got Docusign selected. We're going to need to actually select our working folder. I only have one working folder for this room, so I'm going to select room docs. And now if I come over here to listing agreement and I click this drop down, you're going to see all of the documents that I have in this room that I believe all of these documents are the signed documents. Is that correct, David? They won't offer you non-signed documents in this area?
That's correct. It's only looking for signed, executed documents.
Awesome. So that means you can't accidentally upload a non-signed document that may have
Or
the
let
same
me
name.
be clear. Ultimately PDFs, right? Because you might have uploaded a document that wasn't a form signed document, but you won't be able to find forms because they're not. It would be PDFs essentially.
Yep. There you go. So that's a good clarification. And actually, you can see here, all of them do say .pdf right afterwards. So listing agreement, I'm going to go ahead and select exclusive right to sell. And you can see right here, we got that green option. It said your document was successfully uploaded. So if you now click on that document, you can see your document that was pulled in from Docusign with all the corrected signatures and everything like that, the correct information, all that. It's done for you. It's there. It's uploaded. You can move on to the next one. Unrepresented party disclosure. So I don't think I have all these documents. I'm just going to select a random one. And you see, so that's not the document that it wanted. That's not the thing that it was expecting. So it's going to actually kick back and say, oh, is that because it's a a certification? Is that why it kicked back? I thought there was a more,
I didn't know
there was more
see
checks
what
in
you were
there.
trying to do there. Sorry.
So what I did was add this certification document. So again, remember, certification document is what you're going to get after the envelope has been signed. It's going to have all of the information about the signing process. So if you accidentally load one of those in there, it will kick back and say, hey, this is not a signed form. This is a certification form. But you do want to make sure that you are loading the right forms in, because as you just saw, I was able to load this lead-based paint information form into the unrepresented party disclosure. So it does have there's a chance that you could upload the wrong document. So again, you're just going to want to make sure you're using the exact documents, you're going through, you're checking all these to make sure you have the corrected forms. Once we have anything that is required, you see that this submit to market center button just popped up. We can actually go ahead. I'm not going to do it or else I'm going to get a kickback from my MCA and she's going to be like, what the heck are you doing?
We
Um,
covered that
but if
yesterday.
I,
Practice all of this,
okay,
but
good.
do not submit the test stuff to your MCA.
Yeah, please don't. They're gonna get confused. I don't know about your market center, but I know my MCA is very busy all the time. So don't give them extra work to do. Because what they're gonna have to do is then turn around and come back to you and touch base with you and figure out what happened. And just again, practice, make sure we've got all of the double, triple check, we've got all the corrected documents in there. And then you can go ahead and submit that information. If you covered that yesterday, great, because that's actually kind of where my knowledge with the opportunities tab kind of ends, because again, going back to that fact, I'm not an agent. Personally, I've never actually submitted an opportunity into the market center because I've never done a deal. But I know you guys covered that yesterday, so I'm not really going to touch into all that. But that is how you're going to go ahead and pull documents from Docusign back into Command to submit them to your market center.
We have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on a second. So we do sometimes, especially with seniors, like say we have a meeting, we get a listing agreement signed in person. We print it out. The seller signs everything, but now we need broker signature. How do we get that document back into DocuSign to send to the broker?
Yeah, so I'll hop back over here into Docusign. All right, so let's say we have a document, we have one signature line on there that's a wet signature, and now, like you said, we need the broker to sign. So we're going to come back here into the room, and we're going to select this add button, and we're actually going to select computer instead of DocuSign Forms. Computer is going to allow you to upload a document that's on your device, on your computer. I don't know if you can see, I'm on a Mac, so my pop-up looks a little different. So you have one signature on there, you're going to go ahead and select that, you're going to upload it in. The issue with this is that you're uploading it, when you upload it, not really the issue. The roadblock here is that when you upload it, it's going to upload as a PDF and it's not going to upload as a form. So when you are going in and building your envelope with this pre-signed form, you will actually have to go in and add the broker signature line and the date signed line to wherever they're going to have to sign, because that information will not carry over after you've printed it out and re-uploaded it. All right.
Before you go, hey, Adam, before you go forward here, okay?
Yep.
Yes, uploading from your PC is an option. However, in order to do that, you have to download and upload, right? Are you comfortable talking to the import feature?
Like,
that's fine. So if you click on inbox, click on inbox at the top. So guys, I
was gonna touch on this. Yeah. So this is a
I
really
would go
cool
this
feature
route rather than downloading and uploading. Time save, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a cool option. I haven't. This is actually probably a better scenario than I've actually only have one agent who's used this so far that I've gotten to show this off to. And it's because he has a similar situation where he works sometimes in areas without Wi-Fi, and so he'll download the forms onto his iPad and bring them around and have people physically sign with their Apple Pencil. So it still has like a physical signature on there, but it's not a DocuSign supported form. So what he will then do is take that form and email it to this email along with the when you're drafting the email, this is going to be the recipient, but then in the subject line, you're actually going to put the room ID, which can be found inside the room, right up here at the top, right on top of where like all the basic information is. You're going to copy that ID number.
Evan, do you have a PDF on your document? Let's just show them. Open up an email.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, guys, while he's doing this, what we're telling you, you receive an offer from, just keep it simple. You receive an offer from another agent on your property. It comes in as a PDF into your inbox. Historically, what we've done is you download that, create a file, rename it, and upload it wherever you need to send it to modify it. In here, similar to the platform we used to use, right? You can email that PDF directly to the room to start doing the work that you need to do. So having to download and upload, you don't have to do that anymore. right? So
All right.
what he's done here is he went into his room, he grabbed his email address, and you each have your unique own email address by going to that inbox inside of Docusign. It'll say, hey, David Donaldson at email.docusign.net. So I know that I'm emailing something to myself inside of my room. Now, the step above that, so if I didn't put a subject, it would just come into my inbox and then I could direct it to where I want it to go. Okay. What he's going to show you next is that if you actually grabbed your envelope room ID and put that in the subject, that PDF document will route directly into your existing room. Now, you can't email and leave notes. It's just going to pull the PDF attachment, right? But again, this is a time-saving trick for you guys. You got that, Jamie and Linda? Because I know you were asking. So if you just attach something, attach anything, it doesn't matter, right? Just attach, but it has to be,
as long as
it has to be a PDF. No JPEG,
yes.
right? No, it has to be a PDF.
So I'm just gonna load this in.
Take pictures and send me JPEG documents, and I don't understand that, but agents will do funny things. Has to be a PDF.
Yeah, we've got that. We're actually working on 2 computers in the same room.
I'll start sharing in a second. I'm gonna go find it. This is also my personal computer, so I don't want all my documents kind of floating around.
But you guys got to get the concept that we're talking about here. You now have a Docusign email, right? That's specific to you. And you can generically email to that email address, and you'll have that sitting in your inbox tile at the top. The secondary, which then from that inbox file, I can then, hey, move this to whatever room I want to move it to, and whatever folder in that room I want to move it to. Or the second layer, you go grab that ID, put that in the subject, and then it will route directly to that room.
Yep.
So
So
you're still going to go to modify and add signatures, strike throughs, whatever changes you want to make. Then you use the envelope from there.
Wow. All right. I really like my Mac, but wow, it's not letting me upload a PDF. Give me just 1 minute.
I don't like Apple.
Hey, it's fine. You know,
it's good for music. I don't have it.
Yeah, like video editing on this thing has changed my life. It's absolutely incredible. Let me think. Here we go. All right, this is a.
I love when an Apple person champions the argument that I always make. Thank you.
Honestly, I'm not an Apple person. I have an Android phone. Sorry for my messy room. There's my actual computer, which is much more expensive than my Mac. I'm not going to tell how much because I'm a little embarrassed about how much I spent on my computer. But I'm a Windows guy through and through. I bought this because I needed a laptop. It works. It's a good laptop. All right, so I downloaded that. Okay. There we go. All right, so the PDF uploaded. I have the room ID in the subject line, and I have my Docusign email set there. So now I can hit send. And if I come back over here into the inbox within Docusign rooms, I can go ahead and refresh. And it probably takes a minute because that's just how emails work. Sometimes they're instantaneous. Sometimes when we're sending between these different types of mail servers, they can take a couple of minutes. But I guess actually, David, now that I'm thinking about it, because I haven't used this before, because I put that ID number in there, it actually isn't going to upload into the inbox.
It'll go directly to the room.
Yep, it's going to go directly into the room. So I put the room ID in there. So now if I come
depending
back
on your
in here,
speed, right? It doesn't happen instantaneously, and depending on the size of the file, right? You may have to give it a couple of minutes to refresh that through.
Yes. So I'm looking through here right now. I haven't seen it pop in just yet. But when it does, it will pop in as a PDF. So it will not be a form. It'll be a PDF. You'll have to go in, just like I mentioned before, you will still have to go in, enter that broker signature line, any other fields that they may need to fill out on their side. You will still have to go in and fill that stuff out as you're creating it. It is a pretty simple process. I'm hoping it'll come in so I can kind of show you. You're just going to select it just like you did before, create an envelope. But unlike before, because this is not a form, it's not going to know who the recipients are going to be. Is it even going to let me create a envelope with a certification form? Probably not. Oh yeah, well, okay, here we go. So we're going to have to add in our recipients manually. As you can see, they don't have a role assigned to them because we don't have pre-filled fields anymore. Again, we can select the message, add all that. We go in here to next after we have people added in here. Thank you.
Right, just remember,
Next.
like this experience, no different than any other signing document because they can't read PDFs and assume what they're supposed to be. PDFs in their minds, as far as the computer goes, it's just a photocopy, right? So it doesn't understand the nuance of forms and fields. So whether using Authentisign, Dotloop, or Docusign, it doesn't know what you're trying to do. So you're just working on top of a copied document at that point. So you should all be used to that.
Yep. Yeah, and you've probably used Docusign before, so I'm not really going to go over the actual mechanics of how it all works. One thing I do like to mention to everybody, if you have a PDF form that you fill in and you are trying to put in, you do need to put in your signature lines. Let's say, for example, you have an initial line on every single page. And for example, let's just say your initial line's right here. So if you select both of these using your control, or if you're using control and
You can also just drag over a box over the whole thing.
yeah, that's probably going to be easier because I'm on a laptop right now. So you drag, you select both of those, and then you use the you can either right click and hit copy, or if you're a keyboard shortcut person, Command or Control C, you copy using those buttons, and you come back down to the second page, and then you go and paste it. It will paste in the same exact spot relative to the first page. So again, if you have a initial line in the same position on each page, you can just copy and paste onto each page, and it's going to put it in the same spot. Again, another little time saver trick. But again, getting into the nitty gritty mechanics of Docusign, which I really just kind of wanted to touch on. We talked about the inbox, which again, I think it's a really cool feature. I haven't had a lot of agents be able to use it, but David, that scenario, actually, I will start recommending for people if they have somebody who wet signs it or signs in person, they will now have the opportunity to send it directly back through that room in that inbox, which is a pretty cool feature. It's something that not a lot of people talk about, but it's there. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead, save this as a draft, save and close.
Hey, Evan, I have a
And
question
yeah.
for you. Like,
Yeah,
for
what's up?
example, okay, our original sales contract is what, 11 pages? I'm dealing with a new agent. She had sent me the contract where she had accidentally put an X where lead paint was, but because of the age of the house, we didn't have that form. So basically her admin said, hey, look, you got to fix this. She went back, sent me a copy with the initials. I had to get my seller to initial. What's the easiest way to split these documents? Because now I got in my folder 11 pages labeled regional sales contract, but now
you need to split up so you get the, oh, I think her
how to
internet might have
do
cut out.
that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so what we're
Because I
going to want
think
to
I
do.
take forever doing it. It's like I'll take, 1 through 9, then I delete 10, and then I go, let's say 11 to 15.
Just check,
Because-
Evan, just check on any document. We can split any document.
Yep. So if you check the box in any of these forms, you're going to be able to go, well, any of these, because really what it's going to do is give you the option to separate by page. So
Yeah,
we'll
well, what you're going to
select
be
any of
splitting
them.
is you're going to split a signed document. You're not going to split a form.
Correct. So go ahead, select a signed document, and then you should be able to.
I would use the listing agreement. 'Cause
Okay.
it's several
Yeah.
pages.
So this listing agreement, that's the exclusive right to sell, right? Same thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to select it here. This is a signed version from earlier. We're going to select it, right click on it, and then
Yeah,
you
that's
get
the big thing.
the
People go looking for it. You have
context.
to right click.
Yeah, you have to right click. It's called the context menu. It's additional options. So you go ahead. You have the options there to rename, edit, split, move, copy, email, download, print, create envelope. But split option, that's where you'll find that. So you click split, and it's going to pull all of the pages from the document, all 12 of them. So let's say we need page 8 to be corrected. Over here, we're going to do, let's say, again, I don't know. I'm just going to put test because I can't think of anything. Let's say 8, 9, and 10 need to go here. So those have been split off. You can either do like in it, like I listed there, 8, 9, and 10, or a better example would be 8, 9, and 11. So for test now, you can see when you select test, which documents have been selected. Test 2, let's say 1-4. So this is going to be the first 4 documents. And then you can also do a mix of ranges and options. So test 3, let's say 1 through 3, and 10 and 12. And that's going to do 1 through 3, 10, and 12. And you should be able to, when you're splitting them out, as you see, I have test 2 that encompasses 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I have test 3 that encompasses 1, 2, and 3. So you're not going to have, you're going to be able to split the same pages into multiple documents, if that's something that would be useful for you as well.
I
So
just would
then
have
once we
took,
have these,
I would have just
go
took
ahead.
1 through 7, for example.
Yeah.
And then page 8, you said that we wanted to change. Well, I guess you're saying we're
Mhm.
changing 8, 9, and
Yeah,
And
again, I'm not familiar with the contract, so I'm just using these as an example.
Yeah, guys,
Just
just
kind of show you the
remember, so
different
this is just
functions.
is a great way. You can either click on them to create what pages you want for each named block, or you could type in 1, 2, 3, 8, 1-5, whatever you want to do. You have the editing controls here to split that document any way you would like, to isolate a single page, right?
Mhm.
And this comes in handy in all kinds of situations. You've got an agent that sends you 72 pages. A lot of those documents do not. So you have to split the document to fit in your market center requirements, the submission. And you've got, or they may have put a document in upside down. You got to rotate that puppy, or they give you a bunch of stuff that you don't need, right? Survey, plot, HOA docs, different documents that they use for their market center. You split those out. So this is your control mechanism. You'll use this all the time.
Mhm. So once we have all of our documents selected, page ranges selected, we'll just hit save. And now you can see down here at the bottom, I have my 4 PDFs, my 4 new PDFs with all the new names. And if we click into them, it'll take a minute to load, but you'll see like test, that was just supposed to be 1, 2, 3, and 8. So that's that there. Any other questions? Anything at all? All right.
Now,
Well,
guys, here's
like I
the
said,
other safe thing, right? When you leave here, you're not going to remember all this. So you do need to go in and create and play around, right? We couldn't possibly answer all the questions that you're going to have. So you're going to have to go in and test these things and try the different drop downs on the menus. And always remember, as he brings this up, answers.kw.com, right? And if you actually go in there and search for Docusign, here, I'll give you a little trick here. Go into Docusign. Okay, click on any Docusign article there, Evan. Okay, now at the top of that, see what says Docusign? Click on that. I know this is in a way, but now you've got a list of all the Docusign articles, right? Bookmark that page, right? And
I'm posting it in
secondarily,
chat right now.
yeah, bookmark that page. And secondarily, on the top of it, it actually says follow this page. If you follow that, anytime there's a Docusign article update, you'll receive a notification. Self-advocacy, self-training is key here, right, guys?
Yeah. I don't know how some of the other market centers are. I can tell you, up in McLean, we have 360 agents. So, and then there's one of me. So typically, when I get a request for support, obviously I'm there. I'm doing my best to get an answer out as quick as possible. But if I'm busy, what I'm probably going to do is just send you an article related to that function within command through answers.kw. Answers.kw is written by Keller Williams, by the people who are making command. Anytime there's any type of update, they'll make an article about it first thing foremost. The way that my brain works, I love articles over videos. But there are a lot of video options, like if you want to follow along with somebody, kind of like what we just did today, but less of an interactive situation. There is the, I don't know if all the market centers in Virginia use it, but we use them. Scott Leroy, they have a YouTube channel, Scott Leroy Marketing. Hold on.
Every
They also
market
cover a
center,
lot of,
every market center region uses them, minus Martinsburg, minus Dulles. I think that might be
okay.
at this point.
All right. Yeah, so Scott Leroy, this YouTube channel as well. It's not just going to cover DocuSign. It's going to be everything about command. Definitely bookmark this, follow this if you have a YouTube account. If you come in here and use their little search functionality right here, you can search in here, DocuSign. And you can see all of their DocuSign videos. Again, try to always, when you're using the Scott Leroy YouTube channel, go for the most recent video, especially nowadays. I'm sure your market center tech trainers have informed you all of the big changes coming into command. So over the next couple of months, command is going to change quite a bit. So you want to make sure you're always watching the most up-to-date video you can to make sure you're not missing any of the new features, or maybe the functionality or the layout for something has changed. So always want to make sure we're watching the newest videos that we can. All right. And then the other things about Scott Leroy, they do a DocuSign 101 and a 201. I think what we covered today was mostly covered by 101. And then DocuSign 201, I think that's more of the nitty gritty, some of the more advanced features that I don't really
Actually,
touch
I would
upon.
direct, instead of direct you to Scott Leroy on that, actually, I would direct you to command itself. Pull up command real quick, Evan.
Yeah.
Go to the, so at the top of command, we have a marketplace, and there's a lot of training available for you guys above and beyond what we do here. So if you go to the marketplace, okay,
Yep.
and hey, maybe you just love DocuSign and you want to become a certified instructor. That's an option here for you, just like Evan. We're always, I think if people in the market center, it's important to have people certified. It's free, okay? But there's a lot of training we provide above and beyond what we do locally. So Evan clicked on coaching and training in here. You'll see this full list of classes, the majority of which are free, right? So now the one thing I don't like some of the names are funny, but you'll see like dive into the details of DocuSign right there. Right.
Yeah,
DocuSign,
that's
right,
not the class you want.
right.
Well, yeah, not
There's
really.
a couple,
Not-
there's a
not at
transaction
first.
one, right? So as you click
Yeah.
on transactions, it'll fill,
Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead.
just go, no, yeah, go back one. We're working on the filtration. You see the transactions there? There you go. DocuSign management, document management. All right,
There you
there
go.
you go. You can take any of those free trainings that are provided by KWRI, and you can pick from a calendar events if you wanted to go through this again. And that goes the
Yep.
same with all command training. You'll see there's a lot of training on the back end, how to do different things that we taught you this week. You can go back through and take different training. So you've got this video, you've got answers.com, or any of these videos this week, right? You've got answers.kw.com. You've got the welcome to associates and command your business inside of KW Connect. And now you've got additional levels. So there's a myriad of training available for you to develop your self-advocacy, right? And learn at your own speed.
Yep. So this top grade your command, that is what I did to do this all this is like the end all be all DocuSign class. It's about an 8-hour class. Technically, it's 2 days. If you're part of leadership, if you want to get Docusign certified, it is a 2-day class. Day 1 is all of the meat, all the information, and day 2 is where you're actually going to go and stretch those muscles and show that you did learn something on that first day. You were paying attention. So, Tamika, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead. I went ahead and let you unmute.
Hi, yeah, I was just wondering, is there a reason why you guys don't, I guess, promote that Virginia's page? Because I found that very helpful on YouTube. There's a page that has these specific videos, like the ones from the class under the Virginia's region.
That link should have been in the email that went out every day this week to you guys as a follow-up, as a reminder to subscribe to youtube.com, the Virginia's page.
Okay,
If you didn't see that, I'll check on the clarity around that. My apologies. But you're spot on, and thanks for surfacing it. Yeah, we record all this stuff so you can go back to it.
Mhm.
And there's 3 years worth of recordings, right? There's no shortage of Dave time if you find that lacking.
right, and I found those videos to be very helpful. So I just wanted to put that out there because
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah,
not.
so
I thought they were going to be included in the email, and the last one that I received, I did not see that. So I just wanted
I'll
to.
double check some of that stuff. I'll have to double check my VA, make sure that we've made some changes, maybe some things drop off. I will audit that. Thank you.
Okay. Do you mind if I just drop the link in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go
ahead.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Honestly, one of the things, getting off of the topic of Docusign, one of the things I love about KW is how collaborative we are, and how much, like, I'll have an agent, they'll figure something out in command, and because I don't use command to its fullest extent because I'm not an agent, they'll come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I just did this," and I'm like, "Whoa, that's really cool." And then, like, I'll go into my team meeting, or I do like a twice a month command class at my market center, where then I'll try to like highlight, "Hey, blah blah blah, figured this cool feature out. Maybe you guys could get some use out of it." So like, it's something that I really like. So Tamika, thank you so much for dropping that in there, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, share your resources. Everybody within your market center is on your team to some capacity. Like, you guys are all working together. While you are more focused on your individual success, when you all help each other, your individual success will all rise together. So the cool features, the cool tips and tricks, don't keep those to yourself. Share those out. Post those out. You guys probably have an internal Facebook page or something. Share that. Become that source of tech knowledge in your office, because someone out there will get some use out of it, and then they'll appreciate that, and then maybe one day they'll pay that back in some way that you need. So yeah, it's pretty much all I have, unless, David, did I miss anything DocuSign wise? I think you were
No,
pretty good
I
about
did.
catching me.
We try to keep this at the basic level. We gave you some additional text. That inbox, right? That's the best leverage of your time as you get into creative. The one other thing I will share with you guys, and I get this question a lot. Hey, where's the version of this? Well, there really isn't one to a degree, okay? But there's a workaround.
But
Right. Well, here's your workaround, right?
okay,
You
yeah.
can actually, on your phone, okay, open up a browser and write this down, or we'll put this aside. Go to rooms.docusign.com. Right. Rooms. I can spell rooms.docusign.com. I spelled that wrong. Go to your browser, go to rooms.docusign.com, okay, and log in. And then once you've logged in on whether you're Android or Apple, right, you have an option there to add to your homepage on your phone. Basically, just adding a hyperlink to your homepage. It's not a mobile app, but it functions majoritively like a mobile app.
Pretty much the same.
You can see everything you need to see. You do a lot of things you can do. It's not going to be, again, it's not a mobile app. So don't think of it that way. You're going to have a lot of control to be able to do the things you need to do. So that's the workaround until we actually have a legitimate mobile app.
which they're working on.
Yeah, which they are working on, but this will make
Yep.
it like,
I,
really easy.
When I went to family reunion, I actually did a focus group with the Docusign, some Docusign developers and a command developer. And that was one of the things I brought up to them was like, I have a lot of questions about when is Rooms coming over to the mobile app. And they said they're working on it. So the next couple of months, maybe a year out, they didn't give me a release date. So that means they don't really know either, but just know that it is something that they are aware people want. It's happening. Just be a little patient. It's coming.
But don't stress about it.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, because like David said, the website version works just the same on your mobile app as it does on your mobile device as it does on a computer. Alrighty. Well, David, do you have any closing remarks? I know you don't. I mean, I don't know. Actually, this is the second jump start I've done. Do you typically jump in on Friday? Have anything to close out on? I don't know if we can. I think you're
I
muted.
want to thank you all for coming to class each week. I hope you got a lot out of this. Remember the biggest takeaways. Do the action steps we talk about. Build your database up to 201. Create some test opportunities. Create some test accounts for Docusign. If the first time you go into an opportunity or Docusign is the next time you create a currency transaction, you're going to have issues. Okay. And I'm going to say that's on you. Okay. I'm going to be very direct and blunt about this. You've got to practice. No different than my 6-year-old struggling in algebra. You got to practice, right? You got to create these things to save yourself time. And the first time you do it's going to be longer than the second time, third time, and fourth time. But if you wait, you will struggle. And the challenge with that is this. Typically, if you're writing an offer, it's late at night, it's Fridays, it's Saturdays and Sundays. And then you want to get a hold of Evan or your Market Center tech trainer or your broker or your TL or me, and we're not going to be readily available. Right? So think those things through, protect yourself, and come up to speed with these things. Right? If it's tomorrow, of course, people are going to be available to help you. That's not what I'm saying here, but you have to be proactive in your growth. Get your contacts in. And then remember the other thing I said, schedule time with your Market Center tech trainer to follow up from this to fill in your gaps, because you're going to have a lot of questions that are specific to you and your business. Right? Don't think you're going to schedule a meeting with them and they're going to reteach you everything that we taught this week. That's a massive task, right? But you're going to meet with them for half an hour and they're going to fill in the gaps. And you can obviously meet with them multiple times to fill in gaps as you start doing more things. Focus on your contacts. Focus on your contacts. Practice some of the other tools. Focus on your contacts. Okay? You get what we're talking about here, right?
Contacts.
Contacts. Relationships. Talk to people. Build your business. Right? Run your business. Your business owners. But that's it. That's what I got.
Miguel, Tiger, go ahead, shoot me an email. We'll schedule some time because you guys are in my Market Center. So just want to get out there. Shoot me an email for next week. We'll meet. Alrighty.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. It's raining out here in Northern Virginia, so stay warm, stay dry.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
David. You did a wonderful
Thank you.
job this week.
Thank you. We have a great team. See you all soon. I wish you all the luck in the world.
David, I'll see you in 2 hours.
You got it.
We're not canceling.